Hey guys, what's up? Dingocrikey here with another figure review, and this time we're going to be looking at Transformers Cybertron Deluxe Class Blurr. This figure was originally released in October of 2005 in what has been called the Deluxe Wave 3.5 for the price of $9.99. And here you can see we have Blurr in his alternate mode along with his Cyberkey, which will be moving to the side as we'll look at it a little bit later. Let's bring in Blurr's car for a closer look. As anyone who kept up with the Unicron Trilogy toy lines would know, this is obviously a repaint and remold of Transformers Armada Blurr. There you can see the vehicle from the front, there it is from the side, the back, the other side, the bottom, and there's the top. As far as colors on this guy, we obviously have this dull blue color, which is primarily molded plastic, though it is a little bit of paint up top on there. And if you look at the plastic closely, you can see it's a very sparkly looking plastic, which is kind of a nice touch. You can also see we have some darker blue plastic in there. And on the back here, we have a good amount of red in the racing stripes, yellow, and white, which are all painted details. We have some black shiny paint up in the front as well. And then we have black plastic on the wheels, which is painted in silver. And well, I guess I should say the tires are black, and then the wheel is painted silver. We have some translucent gray plastic back here, which will be much more evident in robot mode. And then this translucent yellow in the front, which is also sparkly. So a lot of glitter on this guy. Now, as far as details on this guy, I'll first go over remolded bits from the original mold. This whole back section has a different look on the original figure. For one thing, these pieces are much smaller and have mini-con panels on top. This section is much smoother. The front, though, is pretty much the same, I believe, except for obviously the paint details and the way they're placed. Also, the missiles on the cannon are different, and we'll see a little bit more remolding in robot mode. As far as other details, I'll give you a close-up look at all of that engine-y, race car-looking stuff back there. The Cyberkey port as well, which is also a remolded detail, I should have mentioned. And then we obviously have the red racing stripes, and I think that about sums it up. Now, as far as kibble and or bad bits, there are a few that stand out to me, but they're a little bit subjective. For one, you can see if we move aside the missile, we do have most of the windows on this guy being translucent, but then we have this little yellow one in the back just being painted. Makes it look a little bit awkward. But one thing that I think is a legitimate problem is that the front of this guy's vehicle is incredibly loose. These two pieces here hold together pretty well, but as you can see, they can come apart from the rest pretty easily. The rest is all really sturdy. It's just that front. And it can be difficult to get it into any right position as it doesn't really lock in any way. Also, you can kind of see his legs back there. And we do have some pretty evident cracking all throughout the vehicle mode, especially in this side area, and then kind of in the front as well. Now, as far as the feel, outside of being loose in this front area, he does feel very durable, doesn't feel like a hollow former, and yeah, feels pretty nice. As far as features and accessories go, he does have a roll feature, which works surprisingly pretty well considering how low he is to the ground. Then we also have his Cyberkey feature. I'll give you guys a close-up look at the Cyberkey. No differences than the typical Speed Planet key. There you can see his unique code on the back, though. And see how this works. Just plug it into where Incinerator went on the original figure. Push the Cyberkey in. And you kind of got to lift up the figure and those wings will flip out. Which is a little weird, but in my opinion a kind of cool feature. To have this flying car, which is how he used it in Armada, so I'm assuming it was supposed to be the same function. And then we have these firing missiles. Just use your finger now. And they do fire pretty nicely, especially considering they're so large. Here we have Blurr compared with two other Transformers Cybertron Speed Planet figures, Voyager Class Crumple Zone and Deluxe Class Exilion. Here he is compared to two Combiner Wars figures, Deluxe Class figures Dead End and Sunstreaker. And here he is with two other Deluxe Class Blurr figures, one from Transformers Animated and the other from the Generations toy line. As for Blurr's transformation, the first thing we want to do is get these wings flipped out so we can remove the blasters, and we're going to push in the Cyberkey to do that. Now, you can just pry the wings open yourself, but if you have the Cyberkey on hand, it is the better way to do it so you don't risk scraping any of the plastic. And we're going to remove the blasters, move them to the side, pull out the Cyberkey, and next you want to grip these pieces here and flip them downward on both sides. Now with that aside, we can grip the front of the vehicle here and flip it forwards, and the body will come away from that back kibble. Next we want to take the arms in the front here and pull them apart. It's pretty tight, so you have to use some force. Next you want to push upward on these shoulder pieces, so these screws here are at the bottom, just like that. And now you can bring the arms downward and straighten them at the elbows. There we go. And we want to extend the legs, get the feet, flip out the toes and the heels. And one thing I kind of forgot to do is a lot of times people will put this like this in vehicle mode. So if so, that would obviously be the last step. And there we have Cybertron Blurr in his robot mode. So let's bring the figure in for a closer look. Give you guys a quick body scroll. There you can get a good look at the head sculpt. There he is from the front, the side, the back, other side, the bottom, and there's the top. As far as colors on this guy go, mostly it's the same as the alternate mode. We do have some more dark blue plastic on the body and in the legs. Then you can see we have dark blue plastic and dull blue plastic in the shoulders. Both are molded separately and nailed together, so that's pretty cool. Also, we have some more white on the plastic here. A whole lot more translucent gray all throughout. And then we have quite a few colors on the head sculpt. Some yellow there, and even darker blue, and then obviously white as well. As far as details go, I believe the only significant remolded details in this mode are the head. As you can see, it's remolded to homage at the Generation 1 Blur. You can also see as an Autobot symbol there, which isn't just painted on, but is actually molded in there, which is pretty cool. Something unique to this guy in the Armada line, and really the entire Unicron trilogy, were his hand design. As you can see, it's not a fisted hand, but actually his fingers are laid out flat. Down in the leg area, if you move them to the side, we have some interesting details there. And then you can see he has this sort of trench coat in the back, as some people call it. I never really seen it that way, but I've heard that was the intention with the original figure. As far as articulation on this guy, not a whole lot in the legs. Can bring them outward. If the other leg's brought outward, can bring this inward as well. And no knee articulation. The only other articulation we have is a ball joint up here, and even that can only go through with the motion entirely if the trench coat is flipped upwards. Being it's on a ball joint, we do have a full 360 motion there at the upper leg. At the shoulders, the arms can go outward, just about that far. And then we have a double joint at the elbow, so you can bring them up like that, about 90 degrees. And then bring them upwards like so, and they can go backwards as well, just about that far until it starts conflicting with some of that back kibble. As far as the head goes, full 360 motion there. And that's about it for Blurr's articulation. As he was an Armada figure originally, don't have a whole lot. As mentioned with the alternate mode, the feel of this guy is pretty solid, or so I'd say. It's kind of a subjective thing, but basically he feels more durable than your average 2015 or 2014 Transformer, which often have a quite hollow feel. As far as the joints, overall they're pretty tight in the head and in the leg. Though in the arm, especially this one here, we do have some looseness, and you've probably noticed this shoulder keeps falling down. Pretty good on this side, so I'm thinking it's something relative to each copy of the figure. Now, as far as additional features and or accessories, we do still have the Cyberkey function in this mode, but since I leave the trench coat flipped out, or I should say the sides of it flipped out, it doesn't really have any function. However, we do still have these two blasters. What you can do with them in this mode is just take these little pegs here, and it's different than it was on the original figure. You just push them into his hands. As you can see, even though they're not fisted, they do have a slight opening. You put those pegs into place, and he is supposed to be able to hold these blasters, but as you can see, they're already falling out of place. So while I appreciate that they tried something new with the remolding, I do think it was kind of a failed experiment in this case, as even if this gun doesn't fall out, it will constantly droop, and it's incredibly loose. But anyways, he does of course still have the firing missile feature, which as mentioned works pretty well. And if you don't want him to hold the blasters in robot mode, you can, of course, plug them into their vehicle mode positions and just used as storage. As far as kibble and bad bits go, this guy definitely has a few. The blasters really don't hold that well in his hands. Also, though, they kept the openings from the original figure, though they have no function in this mode. Some people may find that to be a con. Then we have this humongous backpack here, which I'd argue looks pretty good from the front, but if you look at him from the back and especially from the side, does look a little bit ridiculous. However, even if you like the look of this from every angle, there's no denying that it gives him some problems with standing. As through this entire review, I've had to tilt his heels a little bit downward like that, and then kind of adjust them a little bit just to get him to stand. Also, he has the standard Armada figure problem of not having too much articulation. Here we have Cybertron Blurr with two other Deluxe class Blurr figures, Generations Blurr and Animated Blurr. Here he is with some other Transformers Cybertron figures. From left to right, we have Leader class Megatron, Voyager class Crumplezone, and Deluxe class Exilion. And here he is with, from left to right, Transformers Classics, Voyager class Optimus, and Transformers Combiner Wars, Deluxe class Dead End, and Sunstreaker. Final thoughts, as far as my personal opinions go, this is just an okay figure. The color scheme is pretty good, the look is okay, he does have some fun gimmicks, but he really has nothing exceptional, and then he does have a few hindrances, such as the articulation being sort of weak. He looks kind of clunky, the guns are definitely a big hindrance. I was never really crazy about this mold, even with the original figure, but I do feel like with not only the color scheme, but also the original character associated with the figure, it worked a little bit better. You know, he has the silver and it being a trench coat. You could believe that look a little bit better. This time it just kind of looks like humongous back kibble. With that said, he's really nice to have in hand. He's really solid feeling. He does have some nice translucent bits. I think all of the colors come together pretty well. Some of them do look a little bit random. On the car mode, I'm a little bit torn. I do kind of like the unique aesthetic, but all of the cracks he has in the front being so loose, not exactly sure how I feel about it, though I do really like the Cyberkey gimmick. So for me personally, this guy's just kind of an okay figure. Now if you're just a big Blurr fan, then I don't think you'd be too disappointed with this guy, especially if you've looked at the Armada mold, you think it looks pretty cool, but you want one that's a little bit more true to Generation 1. I mean, this guy new or used I've seen running for like $15 or $16 on eBay, so you know, that's about the price of a modern Deluxe class figure. Now, if you're a casual collector, you're looking to go back and buy some Cybertron figures, maybe Velocitron or Speed Planet characters in particular, I definitely would not recommend going with this guy. I'd probably recommend many of the other characters, if not all of them, before him, whether that be Dirt Boss, Hotshot, Clocker, Swerve. If you just want a Blurr figure to represent the character in your collection, you could go with this guy, as we haven't gotten a whole lot of good Blurr figures, but we do have the Titans Return Blurr coming up. The Animated Blurr is a fabulous figure. If you're interested, you can go check out my review of him. Anyways, that's all I have to say for this one. Thanks for watching this review, and I hope this review was informative. You guys can of course share your thoughts through the comment section of this video, and you can keep up with the channel for more regular figure reviews and other cool stuff. Anyways, that's all for now. Thanks for watching, stay tuned, and have a good one guys. I'll see you soon.